think pizza is simple, you're not paying attention. The restaurant industry is standing at a massive inflection point. Consumer behavior is shifting, health trends are evolving very fast. GLP-1 medications are changing how people eat, and at the same time, brands are fighting for relevance in a category everyone thinks they understand. Today, I'm joined by Casey Terrell, CMO of Blaze Pizza. We get into leadership transitions, operationally driven marketing, and the so-called death of pizza, and why the smartest brands don't run from disruption. They grab the bull by the horns and turn it into opportunity. This isn't just a conversation about toppings and traffic. This is about behavior. It's about positioning. It's about what it really takes to lead a food brand in chaotic, non-linear market. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, today I'm joined by my friend Casey Terrell. He is the CMO, right? CMO?
Yep.
of Blaze Pizza? Yeah.
That's right.
Love that. It's been a journey.
Head marketing jerk. Yeah.
Marketing guy. That marketing people. We're here to talk about all things pizza, also marketing and the convergence of. And so, thanks Casey for taking time out. I know what it's like out there, so I appreciate it. Let's dive in. So you have led marketing across multiple stages and for different kinds of brands. What makes the moment right now at Blaze Pizza particularly interesting to you?
GLP-1s. This is coming out of left field, man.
Like it.
It's really, there's a lot of stuff about Blaze we get into, and we have a new CEO, John Owen, who is an operator, spent decades at McDonald's, a completely self-made guy, very, very interesting life, like ran Subway in Russia. So very exciting time for us because aside from, I think, the foundation, this is the first time in a bit where leadership or CEO has really been operations. And so for Blaze, very exciting because trying to get back to our roots and all the stuff that brands will say. Our COO, Jamie Denny, they worked together on another brand. Jamie and I worked together at Focus years ago. Chris Demery and I, our CTO, worked together. We worked together at Bloomin'. So I think for us, there's a lot of stuff that's coming together right now that just seems to be the perfect mix of people and personalities and expertise. But I'll go back to the GLP-1 thing. We're at a crazy inflection point with food over the last year or two, regardless of the macroeconomic stuff and tariffs and core inflation, any of that stuff. People are changing how they eat, and it's not everybody, but it's a sizable enough part of the population that are taking GLP-1s and getting healthier. And it fully zaps like hunger drive, but a lot of other things. Like it helps with gambling addiction and all of these other, alcoholism and a lot of stuff. I think for Blaze, we have always been we support the guest. We are your companion. You're the artist. We're your companion kind of sage. What's more of a canvas and food than a pizza? Probably most highly customizable thing you can do relatively easily, right? But we're a maverick in the space. We're not big box. We give you unlimited toppings, one price. So how do we fit that in with GLPs are not going away. They're getting cheaper. I think they're getting safer. People are realizing, we talked before, off camera about how the science constantly moves. You can say, I trust the science. Well, you got to trust iterations of understanding and data and science.
That's right.
So we've seen over the last 2 years, these things are getting healthier, quote, healthier and healthier. And people are understanding your arms are going to fall off if you take Wegovy. And so I think there's going to be more and more acceptance. And at Blaze, trying to be a maverick and an innovator here, we got tired of hearing, it's going to kill the industry. It's like, no. We got cauliflower crust. We've got ways of doing keto. We've got high protein, low carb. Let's embrace this thing. And so that, to me, sparked off a lot of our team of saying, we should have that mantra, period. Take these challenges head on. It's just like the old SWOT analysis. Something that's a threat, make it an opportunity. And so here, being very operationally driven and trying to break through, marketers always trying to do that, fill the funnel, but in ways that are more fun, innovative. And it's a really crazy time to be a food marketer right now in restaurants.
Yeah, most marketers are going to hate the one of the first chapters in my new book where I basically use all the research to disprove the funnel. But
Hmm.
we fall back into what we know, and we know boards like to hear that word and all that other stuff. But it's really interesting as diets shift. I mean, I grew up, I'm a 1980 baby. So I lived through the no salt phase, the no fat phase, the no eggs phase, the no
What were they?
oils.
What was the no fat thing? Snack wells?
Yeah, I think so.
But they were
Yeah.
like in full of sugar, and you're like,
Yes.
great, no fat. No, I remember. Yeah,
Right. Well, then
low
you have
fat
that with
everything. Fat
like
is the devil.
vegan alternatives and stuff. Like my cousin, he's vegan. I'm like, have you just looked at what's in fake cheese? Like,
Right.
you can't convince me that's better for you.
Yeah.
I can't
Look, I
get there.
understand if it's an ethical thing where you're like, look, I think that we overtax the earth, or like I didn't eat seafood for a very long time. So I was like, we
Yeah,
take enough out of the ocean. But to your point, if it's something of like, I think it's healthier, and you're like, is
yeah,
it though?
yeah. Like I don't know if I can get there fully, but so it's
Right.
interesting. Like science changes, diets change. I like some of the things that are happening now, bringing awareness around like some of the poison that here in America we put into food. I think that's going to benefit everyone, which is great. But it goes back to pizza is not necessarily seen as a healthy food, so there's a little bit of a stigma attached to it. And the media narrative right now is basically saying pizza is struggling or it's starting to lose relevance. So when you read these stories, what do they get right? And then maybe that narrative is oversimplifying what's really happening.
Right. I think we've talked about this a lot. Like the death of the pizza has been, or pizza industry has been greatly over exaggerated. Right. Makes me want to pull up like the Dewey beats Truman
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
newspaper article. But look, I think we something like 10% of Americans at all times are eating pizza. Like there's some crazy stat. The amount of pizza that Americans eat is staggering, and it's essentially constantly on the rotation. How we
Hmm.
eat it might be changing. And I remember being an '80s kid too, and going into Pizza Hut because I'd filled out my book it card, and
That's
I
right.
was going to go in
Yeah.
and get a personal pan pizza, and The Land Before Time had just come out, and I'm getting that little foot puppet, right?
Yep. Yep.
That's gone, which is sad. Like that was Pizza Hut's thing, and then it essentially
Yeah.
went to all delivery. But I don't think that people traded out of it. So there was some stuff with Papa John's not doing as well, Pizza Hut not doing as well. Domino's is flying, right? They're like up
Yep.
5-6%. Stock price is fine. Nobody seems to be talking about them. We were included because look, we've had store closures. We've culled
Sure.
down the size of the system, but we essentially we're a little bit down last year. We were kind of essentially at flat. Traffic was
Mhm.
a bit down, but sales were essentially flat for us. Um, that's being generous, but still, it wasn't this massive, oh my God, we're down 5, 10, 20%,
Right.
And so trying to find some type of a story and a click and say, I mean, that's a provocative thing to say. And you can back it up and say, hey, Papa John's and Pizza Hut, oh, they're for sale. They're not doing as well. Oh,
Yeah.
the fast casual thing is gone for pizza. That is not true, right?
Right. Right.
We're still a very, very healthy AUVs of 1.1, 1.2 million on 255 stores.
Right.
So there's people coming to us, but I would love to see if there's any research that says if people are going out of pizza and going into other things, or if they're just cutting back, period, because of
Right.
the economy, because of these other things. Are they trying to make it themselves? But
Hmm.
pizza has been around and is such a shareable by the, it's such an American thing that it's like saying that hamburgers are going to go or hot dogs are dead,
Right. Right.
right? Like, sure, maybe one day, like, there's no beef herds anymore. That could happen, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But pizza is about as American as, I mean,
Apple pie. Yeah.
you can get. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think as we speak, it was maybe yesterday or a couple days ago, Pizza Hut announced like the closure of 250 locations. And then you mentioned Domino's, which I think is great. And then we'll get back onto Blaze. But like the common thing that I'm seeing is not just with pizza, I'm seeing it with these old guard brands. And I draw the correlation to a throwing a stone in a pond. when you throw that stone in the pond, that initial splash and the ripples are so strong. And that's sort of like
Right.
starting up a fresh brand, like a Kava or a Sweet Green. It's
Mhm.
like, oh, I want to check it out. It's hot, it's new, it's fresh, something I haven't seen. But then as you start to age out, these ripples, they get bigger, but they get
Mhm.
lower. And,
Mhm.
and I think it's a bit of like, as you get bigger, in order to continue to get bigger, you have to get more people, which means you have to sort of beige out your messaging to make it more mass appeal. And then
Sure.
before you know it, that epicenter energy is gone. That
Right.
splash is gone, and you're just sort of riding it. Now, what I think Domino's did well is they did the hard thing, and they said, you know what? Our pizza sucks, man.
Yeah.
People don't like it. It's cheap. That's it. And then they said it out loud, and then they fixed
Yes.
it.
It was
You know?
authentic.
Yeah,
It
it's
was an
real.
authentic thing to do. But behind the scenes, Demery was there. He can tell you a story.
Yeah.
Jason, one of our FBCs, was at Domino's for a long time. They went hard into tech. You know that.
Yep.
So they took guest experience and took it out of the restaurant, but still had the same mindset of what is the best experience I can get to you. A tracker, like all of these things to make sure that this is the best experience you can get. And also
Yep.
like the food's really good and the crust is better and all of that.
Yeah.
But we talk about guest experience all the time. And a lot of it is, hey, come down the line. So Megan on my team had a good, we're build your own, any
Mhm.
toppings, one price for at 180 seconds, yada, yada. But she came up with fast casual of build as you go,
Mm.
because you're going down that line and it is build as you go.
Yep.
And it's that what differentiates us is that it's then going into a 800-degree oven that's got some theater and it's really cool. And like, how ancient human is that of sitting around a fire watching something cook?
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, Domino's did the right thing. Taco Bell was not very cool. It could
Mhm.
have very easily, I mean, we're talking early 2000s, I mean, late 90s, I remember. They had the big bell, the kind of cantina
Yeah.
look, and they made a hard shift into that night relevant, very young, it's cheap and it's cool. Like they went cool. And
Yeah.
everyone's like, oh, we got to do what Taco Bell did, you know?
Yeah. There's always the followers. I think one of the things that made Blaze so amazing was you brought pizza to a viable lunch option. Like you
Yeah.
could go out and get Blaze Pizza and come back on your lunch break. That is not something, unless you had a buffet, that you could do with pizza, unless you were doing a company supplied lunch
Right.
and you get a bunch of pizzas, right? So I mean that's the magic, and the speed is the magic, and the customizability is the magic, and it's affordable. So there's like all these magical components.
Sure.
When I look at like a Papa John's, I mean obviously they have had their fair share of scandal. Um, but I'll tell you, I think it was maybe like 4 months ago, ordered Papa John's on a lark because honestly, the garlic butter is a thing,
Yeah, it's a good
and
product. Look, yeah,
it's
shout
good.
out to Chevron and all the guys over there.
But that order came in hot, and the dough, the crust was like fresh, like you could just tell the difference. And
Yeah,
I mean, I called the store. I'm like, whatever you just did,
do it again.
that all the
Do it
time,
1,000
like
times.
all the time.
Yeah.
Because I think what happens in I've noticed this as well, and I'm not trying to throw punches in other departments, but I make the joke, but it is justifiable that when things are going really well, it's because operations is crushing it, everyone's crushing it,
Yeah.
no one gives it to marketing.
No.
When things go wrong, it's all marketing's fault.
Look, you're the
And
quarterback. Look,
that's right.
what happens when whoever the Seahawks, if they win the Super Bowl,
Hope they
right?
do.
They're going to say, Sam Darnold's going to say it was a team victory. My offensive line killed. The guy might throw for 1,000 yards and 30 touchdowns in a game, like something insane. It's always going to be the team. It's always going to be that. What happened when the Seahawks lost to the Patriots the last time? Oh, they threw an interception at the damn quarterback, right? Why did they call that play? It's the quarterback's fault.
It's that one right there. No, not the quarterback. It was definitely Pete Carroll's fault.
Yeah, it was Pete
When
Carroll's
you
fault.
have beast mode on a 1 yard line and you don't run
right.
him.
Sure, but Russell Wilson threw an interception.
Yeah.
But it's always the team. But
right.
if you're not doing well, then you're not filling the fun or whatever it is. And
Yeah.
that's simplistic, and not every organization is like that. But that tends to kind of be the deal. But also, as a marketer, the worst case scenario is you have an awesome product, everything is great, super relevant, people walk in the door and they have a horrible experience and they never come back.
That's right.
Right?
Yep.
So I will give operations the flowers for all day. Right?
Hmm.
We just want to win and we want to deliver a great experience. So, and again, our ops team at Blaze is the same exact mindset, very inclusive, very everybody's winning together. Everybody's got a part to play in it. And so thankfully, we have not fallen into the trap of we're down, marketing is your fault, or operations is your fault, or whatever it is. I
Hmm.
mean, it's very much a team. Tech is the other side of it. Joseph, in your world, and you guys do an awesome job for us, or with us, I should say.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
that's the other part of it. It's the guest experience outside of the restaurant. But if they don't get the order right, it doesn't matter.
That's
We
right.
could have trackers and games and all this cool stuff that Chad can build with you guys.
Hmm.
If they don't get the right, I ordered meatballs and I didn't get them. What the hell?
Yeah, when I complained about it, they denied it, or they made it hard, or they didn't
Mhm.
treat me right. And I mean, that's the right mentality. I've definitely noticed it within the Blaze offices, but I've seen too much of the opposite everywhere, like in a lot of other organizations, firsthand, secondhand, third hand. Um, and you're right. It's when you get compartmentalized, it's easy to start throwing the grenades over the wall and
Sure.
saying, "Hey, I'm just here to market it. I can't market a piece of crap more than once." That kind of thing. So I think it's getting on the same page and having that clarity of understanding that we are one team, we are winning together, we're losing together. That also starts to open up the idea lens, where it's not an idea that's creating more work for the sake of it for your counterparts. It's a
Mhm.
collective. Like, what if we did this? And as opposed to why we can't, it's how can we?
Right.
And I think there's a lot of that. You can feel the collaboration. It's almost palpable when you walk into the Blaze offices, which is great. But back to the disruption of Blaze, I think, obviously that's the magic, the build as you go. How do you protect the mindset that sort of, I hate the word, but disruptor mindset, being not the big box on purpose? How do you protect that as you scale?
Yeah, I think that is probably the hardest thing if you're smaller and you've grown. Previous leadership team, really, really, everybody knows the folks over at Dave's did it extremely well over there,
Mhm.
and did it really well at Blaze. But at least my experience on it, it's you really have to know who the hell you are, and it's one of those things of people think that a lot of marketing stuff and brand guidelines and brand pyramids and reasons to believe and all that stuff, and it can be just nonsense and bullshit and fluff and marketers talking to marketers,
Mhm.
but when it's done right, it really truly is the core. And it's not about it being in a brand guideline or on a slide. It's the blazer at the POS who's standing there about to take your order. That person gets it because that's your best marketer. And
Mhm.
so to stay disruptive and all of those things, it's that core element that has to be insanely strong. And then as you scale, not losing it. It's really, really hard to do. I think it's like degrees of separation as you get bigger.
Mhm.
I read a while ago that it was like information can go to like 250 people or something. It was like this thing where like everybody's network is essentially 250 to 500 people.
Interesting.
And so if you're sitting in an office, a message is only going to go so far, like physically travel so far. Now, X that out to like McDonald's that has 30,000, locations,
Right.
franchisees, everything else. Like, how do you maintain that? Eventually, you're not going to be a disruptor anymore. You're going to be the disrupted,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, I worked at
Yep.
Burger King. Burger King was the disruptor, right? They were flame
Yeah.
flame
You're right.
boiling stuff at scale and started building like crazy. And it was like this very edgy, cool thing, blah, blah, blah. And then it just became one of the big three, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wendy's, McDonald's, Burger King. And
Yep.
then they got disrupted by Shake Shack or whoever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the goal, I think, is to get to a point where you are the 800-pound gorilla and you're dominant, but maybe you still have that soul of disruption, of innovation. How do I make it better? John tells us this story about McDonald's when he was there. They launched pizza. I like
I
vaguely
remember that. Yeah. Yeah.
right? Vaguely remember pizza being a thing. And it wasn't an execution thing. It wasn't anything else. It sounds like it was the story. People just did not believe that McDonald's could do pizza.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in an era now, if you had social media and influencers and all those things, it probably would be successful.
Right.
Because you could have a bunch of people that are very authentically saying, you got to go to McDonald's and try this pizza. It's awesome. But it wasn't the era at the time. So they disrupt, they try, but at the end of the day, you're going to get eventually to be the dominant market player, and people are trying to disrupt you. I think it's more, how do you fight back?
Yeah. How do you prevent complacency? How do you keep your finger on the pulse of the right risks to take? Because, I mean, especially at scale, it becomes, at 10 locations, it's a hell of a lot easier to try pizza than it is at 300, 500, 600, whatever. And so I think, that's where data comes in. That's where I think the tech stack really can play another role as opposed to just being a means to ordering or whatever. But also finding those influencers, I think, is interesting as we foray maybe to talking a little bit more about MarTech and loyalty. God forbid we don't talk about loyalty, which I think is just
it's a silver bullet. Everybody's got to do it. It will solve all of your wildest dreams will come true.
It's funny when we talk about apps with like clients, and it's like, look, we love building apps; they're cool. But then when you look at the data, you're like, your app sales are only like 10% max.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, so maybe that's not where we win. Maybe we out of the box makes a bit more sense for some brands. But when we talk about the overall MarTech stack, I feel like we're in an interesting scenario where when we talk about the old guard versus the disruptors, what I'm seeing is the tried and true are starting to consolidate and converge on systems that are proven.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. That needed to happen, especially after the rapid pandemic. Grab your tech, get it done.
QR codes. Yes.
You're going to save the world one day.
Yeah.
But then there's like, we almost leave the true innovation, like the wild thinking, to the startups. And then if you're big enough, you can just take the magic,
of course,
and integrate it yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you think about MarTech, like, what are the core problems you're really trying to solve first?
Oh man,
I know it's a big bloated
number one was understanding the customer, because restaurants, I mean, you grew up in this stuff. So I remember starting at Burger King, and we were completely, call it analog, right? We had a website, but I think 80 or 90% of our traffic was through a drive-through, and there was no, I mean, social media was a thing, but there wasn't paid ads yet. It was 100% reach, yada, yada, yada. And we had to learn tech on the fly. And it was like marketing, you just kind of figured this out, right? And then thankfully, like IT became less IT and more tech professionals like Chris Demery. Instead of like, hey, I'm the IT guy, I'll figure out the website. Like, no, IT guy, you're the systems administrator, dude. Let's have tech methodology and mindset and go this way. But what we're looking for in MarTech especially, can you actually operate it? That's a huge issue, man. Like, huge. Oh my God. It's like, oh, they built a Ferrari. They didn't build a Ferrari. They built a B-52 bomber that takes like 8 people to fly the thing. We don't have that many people. Like I would love to have a Ferrari that only I could operate, or me or Chad or Megan or Ibis. So I think MarTech does it integrate well with what you're already doing? Is it simple to use? It is a tool you're actually going to use. And then is it giving you some type of a so what, right? Like you just said it, you can roll out an app, and if nobody uses it, it's just sort of an app that's there. And we did this cool thing. Like, is it solving a guest need?
Yeah. And you quell the complaints from franchisees.
Yeah. Like, don't just do things to do them. But I would say, like, people who are operating without a CDP, who have majority of their sales are offline, like through POS. I don't know how you're operating your business in 2026.
100%.
Full stop.
Yeah, 100%. And, I'm looking forward to when more CDP options start to rise up, either natively within the ecosystems or look, I'll say it. I think Bicky's great. It's super powerful, but every
Yeah.
Coke needs a Pepsi, and I don't
Sure.
really know what the
Yeah.
Pepsi is,
But I think
and
Abhinav and Chris and those guys will tell you that, right? Like
yeah,
they got into restaurants and space because Abhinav, I mean, is this great story, like his
yeah,
mother-in-law was writing everything down on a notepad and kind of remembering.
yeah,
But you're right. I mean, I think with the iron sharpens iron, somebody's going to get into, right?
of
And
course,
I
yeah,
think Olo tried to do something sort of.
yeah. They had
But
their
yeah, them
GDP.
having a competitor is just going to make them sharper.
Yeah, I think you'll start to see it from the likes of Olo and Par. I think Olo's very aware of where they win and where things are a bit too loose for their liking.
Sure.
And so maybe that's the solution is you start to see it out of the ecosystems. But then it's like you said, what do you do with it? And that's one of the other problems I see within the restaurant industry and marketing specifically. I see a lot of tech anemia. I see a lot of people who kind of know how to talk about it, but they may know how to operate it. But then you start to realize I got a team of like two.
Right.
And like you
Yes.
said, the B-52, or even worse, I brought this beautiful Ferrari. Who knows how to drive stick?
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, no one here. So it's
Look, I'll
like,
say it again. At least one person can drive the car. Like you'll train them. You'll like
that's right.
if it's something where it's like I was a tanker in Abrams tanks. It's a crew of 4, right?
Yeah,
You can't do all 4 things.
that's right.
It's like here, like if Chad had automation where you could press a button and everything's done right on our side, but throwing another tool at him or another platform or another thing, you're like, man, I don't have time to do this. I don't have the bandwidth.
Yeah, I'm only one human. And I see a lot of that too, especially, when you have some brands that end up under distress. Like one of the first places they cut is marketing, but they still expect the same outputs.
Yeah,
Which
right.
is really problematic. And I think, great marketers understand that loyalty isn't an app. It's not a point system. It's not a reward system. That those are like features.
Yeah.
But in your opinion, if you had to explain to maybe some of the youngins out there, what actually builds loyalty, specifically for pizza, let's say?
It's universal truth for anything. It's emotional connection.
And how do you do that through tech?
It's the same as brand, right? How does Blaze Pizza make me feel? Is the same thing on the tech side. It's just an extension of the same thing in a different form. I'm holding up a phone here and that.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at, I'll give you a test, man. When you look at the Delta Airlines app, if it's on your phone, how does that make you feel?
Annoyed. But
Well,
that's me.
okay. I mean, there you go. I mean, something
Yeah.
that's a necessary evil. I mean, I look at it and I think, oh, they're expensive, but like, man, this is going to be this is going to make my life easier. Okay, let me give you a comparison, right? Delta Airlines app or Hilton or Marriott app versus the Concur app.
Right.
Having to go like, oh my God, I don't want to have to deal with this thing. I'm just going to go in here. It'll be easier. It'll make my life easier. Everything's already set up. I'll get my points and my life will just be easier, right? Interconnected. I did the same thing we were on Amazon or on Alexa for a lot in our house. And I realized I look at it around a lot of our tech because we've got Sonos and we've got all this other stuff. I'm like, man, this is really more of a Google ecosystem. And so I'm going to move this stuff all over to Google. Right. And it was the emotional connection to me of this is going to just help me make my life easier and all of the data points, but also I can take a second to breathe because I can see on my tablet who's at the door and it's all going to work.
Yep.
Right. It's all going to work together. A Blaze app, my dream is that somebody grabs a Blaze app and they look at it and they go to press the button and I'm like, oh man, this is going to be so good. Like, this food's going to be awesome. It's going to get here. It's going to be like all those things that are great, but tech is just another extension of experience of brand. That's it.
That's absolutely, yeah, I love to hear it because you don't always hear that direct of a response. And tech is the extension of like all the pieces working together. So like you said earlier, I could have the best rewards program in the world. I could have fantastic tech, but if that person making the food makes it poorly, if it shows up late, so it's it's a team firing on all cylinders. And honestly, I don't care if you have an app. Like there's a place down the street here where I moved to. It's called Buffalo's. They don't have an app or a website. I call, but you know what? They
Dude, it's still
answer.
21% of Papa John's orders. I mean, it was
It's
on
phone
their
calls.
earnings call, right? And
Wow.
they were lamenting, saying, it's shrinking. And I'm like, oh my God, it's 21%. We need to do phone ordering,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, what does
Yeah.
the guest want? What do you want? You want really good food that's craveable, all the stuff you talked about. How
Yep.
you get it and how you deliver is on me to figure out to get it the best way possible.
That's
Tech is
right.
not a silver bullet, but maybe there's 10% of the Buffalo's customers that because they don't have a web or an app are like, never mind.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's 7% of your sales gone. And so we think about a lot of it there of the channel management. So Chad leads omni-channel and he's looking at like, all right, here's in-store, that's Megan and Ibis for our team.
Mhm.
Okay, but the other side, web, app, phone, all the other things, I've got to be at least present there and it's got to be a really good experience, but it's trade-offs.
Mhm.
Is there an ROI there? But you're right. At the end of the day, we are a restaurant. We better deliver a really good experience, but it's got to be really good food. But how we
Mhm.
get it to you is dealer's choice, man.
That's
It's
right.
what you want.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, that desire for convenience, it's almost water-like, looking for the path of least resistance. I think that's also why we see, I hate to say it, but DoorDash, it does it well because it's easier. And I think the
Yeah.
brands that start to like say, you know what, we're going to make it just as easy to order directly from us. We're going to give you points. We're going to benefit you. We know you're Casey. We know you love your pepperoni and anchovy pizza on a Friday
Exactly.
night. And that's where I think we can start to win. I hate when people knock 3PD because let's face it,
It's a marketplace.
it's a marketplace, but it got
Yeah.
a lot of us through the pandemic.
Of course.
Like,
yeah.
nobody, everyone's very resistant. No one's going to get my Big Mac order, delivered. So guess what? Yes, they will. Yes,
Yeah.
they will. And
Look, man,
it.
we just had our second kid in July of 2020. I was sitting in an apartment in New York, which was actually kind of awesome. But
Yeah.
I got Insomnia cookies delivered on, I think, Seamless or Grubhub because it was New York.
Yeah.
At like 2 a.m. Nobody was going to go do that for me in July in 2020, let alone at 2 a.m. when my kid's
Right.
screaming. I'm trying to give my wife a break.
Yeah. 100.
So I completely agree with you, man.
Yeah, but it's the convenience that really drove them. So I knew this was going to fly. I want to be true to my word at our 30-minute mark. So I have one more question, maybe two, but let's just do this one. Advice from you that you can give CMOs entering categories the media calls mature or declining.
Yeah.
What should they do?
Mature or declining? I think it's really good to be rooted in history and understand the core of the brand, all the excellent stuff. But don't ever accept that's the way we've always done it. That's why we do it this way. I think one of my first jobs at a B school was working with 3G Capital, and they would put brand new people into roles that didn't know anything about, like you were a finance guy, they put you on marketing. And it was always because they wanted you to ask, why do we do it like that? And it wasn't to be an asshole. It was to say, look, we're going to find out a justification for doing it a certain way that we've done for 40 years. Or we're going to say, you know what, that's dumb. We should do it a different way.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you got comfortable in that seat, they changed your seat. Marketing guy would go into development or finance or supply chain or something else, which was great. So I think for CMOs coming into more mature and unsexy things, there are ways to make your brand relevant and interesting with your target audience. Got to stay true to yourself, all of that stuff. Gerald, our social media guy, looks at outside of food all the time, constantly. What are sports doing? What's fashion doing? What are these other things doing? What can I pull from that and make it relevant for Blaze? So it's hard, and again, I'm trying not to give like cliche advice, but getting out of your industry and learning about others is very helpful.
Yeah, we do something similar. I do, at least, all the time, which is let's look at symbiotic industries that are creating paradigms. So retail. Let's look at Shopify. Literally was just looking at Target yesterday, and I'm like, look at the way they show how split payments. That is so intuitive. That leaves no questions up to me or someone who is older or on the run isn't paying attention. Like, we've got to make this stuff clear. And the best way to do that is to see how some maybe market leaders, because they're also, not only are they leaders and they're, how do I put it? Just because they're leaders doesn't mean it's right.
Yeah.
but you can
Right.
learn from it and say, actually, this works really well. And
Yeah.
we can mimic it because it's also creating a behavior.
Yeah.
So many
Well,
people go to Target,
yeah.
they get used to that.
I mean,
And
the
DoorDash.
loyalty
Yeah.
piece, I mean, it's the best example I've seen of actual quote Web3 or blockchain working that a consumer would care about is Delta and Starbucks.
Oh yeah.
Because they both know on either side, you're flying today and you're in the Starbucks app. I know you're flying today on a Delta flight. Here's an offer. On the Delta app, here's a Starbucks thing. They're verified on both sides. They know you're loyal. You got to connect loyalty together. And they don't serve you something if it doesn't work in both of the environments on that day. Right?
Yeah.
Like that is a great cross collab thing. But also their tier system, Starbucks has rolled out new tiers.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get to tiers. There's a lot of stuff that we need to do, but eventually get to the point where like loyalty is more, it knows everything about you. And I'm not going to use the AI word, but we are an algorithm. Your choices are what they are. It knows a lot about you. Why can't it just serve me? Here's a suggestion. Try it.
I think that that verb is, I'm going to say intentionally, but may not have been. It's very purposeful. Serve. Like we are
Right.
in the service industry. I know everyone says it, but like they say it with their mouth and they don't do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, you got to remember this, that like, yes, a lot of data, yes, algorithms, yes, all this information, but the goal is to serve better. And that I think is truly the core. Like service means great food on time, under promising, over delivering. Hey, Casey, I've seen that every week for the last 4 weeks, every Friday. This one's on us.
Yeah.
Because we know that's what you want, and we love that you're truly like choosing us every week, and just going out of the way for that kind of stuff. I think really matters the most. Last question. Knowing that you are a C-level person, so I'm sure you're not allowed to say all the
It's a
things.
huge deal. Yeah. Look at me.
You are a big deal.
Oh yeah.
Big pickle. No.
Oh, yeah.
What can we look forward to from Blaze that you're allowed to talk about?
What I'm allowed to talk about. If you go to our Acres Mill restaurant, you can see a lot of stuff there. If you're local ATLian, it's near the Battery, near Truist. We have a lot. That's our innovation center. We're doing a lot there. It's not the Blaze of the future, but it's our test and learn lab. We're doing a lot of cool stuff. But I think from a macro, you're going to see our operations, specifically guest experience and hospitality, go to the next level this year. I truly believe that from a brand perspective. I think we've got the right leaders in place. We have some really, really good franchisees. We're just moving in the same direction. From marketing, there's some big bets on some products for us. We know exactly who our guests are through Vicky, through CDP, through Q, and through you guys. Maybe a taste of Italy might be coming, but in a very fun way. But also very quickly, I'll just tease it. We're doing a great collab partnership with a Disney property that may launch for a new season coming up here in March. It's a New Yorker who's a Marvel person. I'm just going to leave it at that. Jared will kill me. But we're doing a lot more fun collabs and things that are really relevant for our guests. But at the end of the day, it's up in our game and ops, tech, and food marketing. That's where we are.
I love it. I can't wait to watch some of these rags that have predicted the decline of pizza, eat some pizza, and realize that they were wrong.
Yeah,
not that they would ever admit.
The New York Times, that guy's going to get a slice on the corner.
Absolutely.
If you ever wrote I think it was a woman who wrote the article. I'm sure she's a massive pizza fan,
Yeah, 100%. So thanks for being so generous with your time, man. I really appreciate it. This has been great. And truly looking forward to what's next for Blaze, for the team, and all of it.
Cool. Thanks, man. Good to see you.